In a move that has been widely expected by many, Quinn Ewers has elected to enter the NFL draft. We got to talk about what that means for him, what that means for Texas, and where we expect Texas to fall, or this Texas quarterback to fall, really, in the NFL draft. I think they can break their own record. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching the #1 college football show, welcome. Thank you for being here. We talk college football 24/7, 365. And the community is fast approaching 130,000 subscribers. I would love for you to join it. Just hit that subscribe button, ring the bell so you don't miss any of the segments that we upload to the show most days, if not every day. And why don't you answer the question in the comments below? It's a raucous comment section here. Do you think Quinn Ewers should have elected to enter the NFL draft, or do you think he should have returned to college football? If you're a returning viewer, you know the drill, right? Tell me what you think. Also, know that if you haven't subscribed, you should subscribe. It's free to subscribe. All right, let's talk about Quinn Ewers in Texas. So, what we thought was going to transpire has. It just took a little bit longer than I thought it would. Quinn Ewers elects to enter the NFL draft on Wednesday following being bounced out of the college football playoff by Ohio State last Friday. And really, it's been a cavalcade of players who have decided to leave Texas and go to the draft. I already made a segment about Arch Manning and what I think this is going to mean for Texas, which I'm going to have to revisit now that we kind of got a great look at this list. But let's talk about Quinn Ewers and what he was able to accomplish at Texas. Quite literally, the most accomplished Texas quarterback since Colt McCoy. We're talking about a guy who's led Texas to back-to-back college football playoff semifinal appearances, the latter one being in the 12-team playoff, which means they had to win 2 games just to get to the Cotton Bowl against Ohio State. And it was fun to watch them do this, right? We're talking about a Texas team that got to host a home game against Clemson. We're talking about a Texas team that ends up in the SEC championship game. We're talking about a Texas team that had high hopes entering the SEC this season to play for the SEC championship. And frankly, I thought Oklahoma was going to be that team. Texas proved no, we are not a fluke. We are here to stay. We are in our golden years. After making the college football playoff as a 4-team selection from the Big 12, after winning that league on their way out. I also got to throw in here, man, like it's really going to be interesting to see if the Dallas Cowboys make a move on Quinn Ewers, if they make a move on Shedeur Sanders. I think that's got a lot to do with who the next head coach is going to be and who Jerry expects that to be. If it is Steve Sarkisian, who apparently his name has been thrown into the mix for the job, you could also see him doing something like that, going to get a Quinn Ewers. But I think that there are other quarterbacks that, frankly, Steve Sarkisian would like to play for him, like Dak Prescott, for instance, who's on a $240 million contract with a no-trade clause. All that aside, I think if Jerry wants the head coach he wants, he's going to make it work for whoever the quarterback they want to have with them. Now, a lot of this is back to what we have expected out of Texas going into the season, right? It's about a team that was loaded with talent. Outside of Ohio State, I think it is one of the most, if not the most talented football team in the country. I think even Urban Meyer had this take one in July, as did Nick Saban, as did I. Like, if it wasn't going to be Ohio State, it was probably going to be Texas because of what we've seen. So we thought we saw what was basically the national championship game in many respects in the semifinal of the Cotton Bowl. What I did not expect was for Texas to get pushed by Arizona State, who won the Big 12 in the Fiesta Bowl, and not be able to run the football in that game after running for 292. But that also was an opportunity for Quinn to show he's got it in winning time, which is going to be huge when we talk about him going into the 2025 NFL draft. Knock on him right now is that the man has not played a full season healthy football. I thought that was a good reason to return. I also know that, we're talking about players who might not make as much as first-round draft picks as they would have if they played another year of football. Like, for instance, Carson Beck is going to make between $3 and $4 million, depending on who you want to believe. Same thing is true of John Mateer. Darren Minson is going to make $4 million at Duke. The QB market is being reset and reset and reset because the $20.5 million salary cap is what we're going to refer to it now, that the schools have to pay all of their athletes. You expect your quarterback to take a large chunk of that. And, the sheet is the sheet for the NFL. You are slotted for this value, and this is what they're going to pay. And that value does not get past $4 million I believe after you get past like the 25th selection, maybe a little bit further down, I got to go check that out. Somebody's going to tell me in the comments below. But Texas, the man beat Alabama twice. He also beat Michigan, which is something Ohio State hadn't done, but he was in Ohio State uniform for just a little while. Won that Big 12 title, made the SEC championship, those college football playoff appearances that I talked about. 21-5 as a starter is what he's going to leave Texas as, and one of the most I was going to say had a chance to be one of the most beloved quarterbacks at Texas, but has been really a lightning rod for criticism, either because he's not mobile enough or because his decision-making is not great. So here's the list of players that have left Texas so far. Quinn Ewers, obviously. Kelvin Banks, right? We think that's the first tackle off the board. Outland Trophy winner. And when he was healthy, just great, except when Mykel Williams was lining up across from him. And then he looked, human. Mykel Williams going to make himself a lot of money. Hayden Connor also enters. Jaden Blue enters. Gavin Holmes enters. Vernon Broughton. So that's huge, right? Matthew Golden, we knew was probably going to do this. Isaiah Bond. David Gbenda, which I thought, okay, sure, one of the better linebackers on that team alongside Anthony Hill. Jake Majors, the center, so that's the offensive line. Bill Norton, Alfred Collins, Cam Williams, Maurice Blackwell, and Velton Gardner. Earlier, I need to correct myself. I said that C.J. Baxter entered the draft. Obviously, that's not true. That's on me. My bad. Also, I think he's got another year of eligibility before he can. So I don't know where I was thinking of going with that. I do know the Jaden Blue thing was already at the front of my mind. I think the way that this works is you had to know something by January 15th unless you got a special exemption. So this is the last day many players get to decide to enter the NFL draft. Of course, if you play at Notre Dame, Ohio State, you get to push that to January 24th. You get those days to think about it. You get those days to say. That's why you've seen all these floods coming out, and that's why we're talking about Quinn Ewers today as opposed to Quinn Ewers, say, tomorrow or the next day. I think that's a class move by the NFL. I also think it's a smart move by most of the players to just hold what they got, unless you're guys like Abdul Carter, who couldn't wait 24 hours to be like, nah, I'm leaving. I'm gone, right? And then we kind of saw the writing on the wall with Tom Allen leaving to go to Clemson, but they're returning a bunch of dudes at Penn State, like Drew Aller, okay, sure. Nick Singleton and Katron Allen, that's very good. Along with Dennis Sutton, that's very good. Having Harrison Wallace, Trey Wallace into the transfer portal, don't expect that, but you'll probably be able to make something happen with that if you're Andy Kolonecki. Also, of the names that I just mentioned to you, right, I think that most of these guys expect to be drafted. So if you'll allow me, I'm going to count the names right here on the show so we're all on the same page because you know me and math. 1 Quinn Ewers, 2 Kelvin Banks, 3 Hayden Connor, 4 Jaden Blue, 5 Gavin Holmes, 6 Vernon Broughton, 7 Matthew Golden, 8 Isaiah Bond, 9 David Gbenda, 10 Gunnar Helm, 11 Jake Majors, 12 Bill Norton, 13 Alfred Collins, 14 Cam Williams, 15 Maurice Blackwell, and 16 Velton Gardner. So Texas has never had more than 11 players selected in an NFL draft. That goes back to 1984. I think they're going to get past that number. And there's a great chance that they push for the most selected by any team. If all these dudes are, taken in the first 7 rounds or taken in the NFL draft. So it's possible. I think they're going to break their school record. I don't know if they're going to break the record by any team. Especially, this is funny or not funny. This is the kind of draft entry that will lead you to believe that Texas won the national championship, and they didn't. So if you're a Texas fan, do you think that you underachieved this year? Or do you overachieve or land right where you were supposed to? That's an interesting question to answer if you're a Texas fan. For me, I thought you were going to make the national championship game playing Ohio State when they turned into a buzzsaw. That's good enough for me. I thought you were also going to win the SEC championship, but that comes down to having a friggin' kicker, which is where I would put all of my energy now that we're in the Arch Manning era. Make sure you have a kicker to match him because Burt Auburn ain't it, baby. He ain't it.